Hello, beautiful. How are you today? Welcome to Thursday Talk with Suzanna Kaye. Today we are talking about memorabilia. Again, I know, but this time we're talking more about how to make decisions on memorabilia. And I brought some of my own memorabilia to show you exactly what we're talking about. Now, just as a reminder, this week, as of this recording, the Memorabilia Challenge is going on in the Facebook group. So hop over to the Facebook group and join the free Memorabilia Challenge. We're having a lot of fun over there. We're talking a little bit more in depth in some of the posts about the reasons why we're keeping things, all that good stuff. So, all right. Yay. Welcome, Rita. So glad to see you today. It's going to be a fun one today, too. Hey, Thomas. Good to see you again, too. All right. So, I wanted to share how I help myself and other people when I work with them as a professional organizer make decisions about memorabilia, because memorabilia can be really tough, right? Because all of the memories come up, and most of the time we are afraid of either hurting somebody else's feelings by letting something go, or we're afraid of forgetting the memory that's attached to that item. So a lot of the times, most of the memorabilia that we're keeping, it's not the item itself that's important, it's the memory, or we have some sort of feeling of obligation to keep it. And that's the stuff that we want to start to identify and learn ways to let go of, because the items themselves are not what's important, but we want to keep those memories, and we want to uh, get rid of that feeling of obligation if it's not something that's bringing you joy. So that's our goal. We want to get down to the items that are truly important to us, and it's the item itself that's important. Hey, Julie, good to see you. So if you have any questions as we go along, please just let me know in the chat. But I'm going to walk you through some of my memorabilia. And I recently have been going through my own memorabilia for the Memorabilia Challenge. So these are items that I personally have made decisions on, and I'm going to explain what decisions I made and why. Oh, you're so welcome, Julie. This is a topic that's such a hot topic. Hey, Karen, good to see you. And Pamela, awesome, awesome. All right. So, our first category of memorabilia, and today I'm wearing my AirPods instead of my regular microphone. Hopefully, it sounds okay because I know I'm going to be moving around a lot. But some of the first category that I wanted to talk about that I found within my own memorabilia are things I don't even remember. So I had this little cute shell. Yeah, it's adorable. It looks like a little paw print or something. And these cute little place cards that were for some reason for my animals. I don't remember where they're from. So this is usually a pretty easy decision. A lot of times I find that people might try really hard to remember what the item was about, remember what the memory attached was. But in reality, if your brain has not attached these items to the memory, the items themselves are not important for that memory. So even if you do remember what it's from, that's just a sign that item is not important. You still have the memory somewhere in those memory banks, or there's something else that's reminding you of it. So these can go. So this is going to go back in the outdoors, and these are recycle. Hey, good to see. Oh, yeah. I'm glad that the AirPods are sounding good. Thank you, Rita. Hey, Anne, good to see you. And Sheila, welcome, welcome. Now, the second category I have that I came across is the stuff that's not as interesting as it should be to be taking up space in my home. So I have this napkin from a Kentucky Derby party that I went to in May of 2008. So, a few years ago. When you do the math, it's surprising how long ago 2008 was. But I remember the party. I don't need the napkin to remember the Kentucky Derby party. And even though it was one of the traditions of a group that I hung out with, we made a big deal at Kentucky Derby parties. We had hat contests, and it was really fun part of my life. It's not something where that memory needs to be in my memorabilia box anymore. The memory is important in my brain, but not important enough to hold on to an item for. The same with this certificate of appreciation from 1994 for volunteering for the homeless shelter, which I used to do a lot in high school. I remember doing it. I don't need the certificate of appreciation to remember it. So We've got a recycle happening and trash. So far we've done things you don't remember, and we've done things that are not as interesting as they should be to be taking up space in your memorabilia bin, or the memory is enough. The item itself is not that big of a deal. Welcome, Linda. Good to see you. I think I said hi to Sheila. I wanted to make sure that I do. All right, the third one. Now, this is a tough one for a lot of people. And I was surprised that I obviously had not gone through this box for quite a while, because I was surprised that I still had this even in here. Negative memories. So one of the things that I came across was a list of what I liked to do for different trips, vacations, and fun events. Is I would make a list of things that I remembered from the trip. So instead of journaling or trying to take a million pictures, I actually have a travel journal, which I can pull out. And in my travel journal, that's where I will just create little memories. So, as I'm headed home from a trip, a lot of times on the plane, or if I'm a passenger in the car, then I will just write bullet points of different things that I remember from the trip. Anne says that she can't hear me. Can anybody else hear me? Any problems there? Let me know if everybody else can hear me. And if not, then I'll make a change. So one of the things that I had kept was this list of the memories from a trip with an ex-boyfriend of mine that I was with for many, many years, but it was a bad relationship. So the fact that it was a bad relationship, these, even though there are some happy memories there, they're not bringing me happy memories anymore. So that's a bit of a problem. I don't really need to remember the bad memories. Let me just check this. Not bringing me happy memories anymore. Okay, so it's still working. Just had to check my sound. So I'm not sure, Anne, why you can't hear me, but hopefully everybody else can. All right, so back to what I was saying. This is my list of 100 memories from a trip to Savannah and our Labor Day camping that I went on with my ex, and it was a very bad relationship. Even though I have a whole lot of memories of other people and things that happened that were really fun, just the thought of this list and remembering the trip with him, which just does not bring up good memories. So even though there are some happy memories in here, I don't need to hold on to something that brings up negative emotions. The whole, does it bring you joy? This is a great time to do the, does it bring you joy? And if not, no matter what other happy memories are attached to it, let it go. You will remember the bad memories without items to remind you. So that's a big one, is negative memories, negative feelings. If it brings up negative feelings, whatever the reason for the negative feelings, even if it should be something positive, but for some reason it brings up guilt or regret or anything like that, that item can probably go, because you will remember it. We remember our bad memories without items, right? All right. So Thomas, he does not have that much memorabilia. The ones that he has consume space, and he needs space. It's dinner time. Well, enjoy your dinner in Germany. Okay, the sound is good, Karen says. Julie says that she loves the travel journal. Happy memories from Venice. Absolutely. So the travel journal, that's a whole other topic probably, but just bullet points such as, I wrote down as a joke, retinal damage from the sun as I tried to send a client update email in the passenger seat of the car, because the sun was glaring. It was not actual retinal damage. Yeah, there's just checking that the chairs were still strapped to the roof of the car through the sunroof. Those types of things. It's just these little one-line bullet points. And those one-line bullets bring back so many more memories than any item could. So I love, love, love using a travel journal. Highly, highly recommend it. All right, so we've covered, we don't want to keep the stuff that we don't really remember. We don't want to keep the stuff that's not as interesting, not interesting enough to take up space. We don't want to keep anything that brings up any type of negative memories, no matter what positive memories are included. Next, things that you have enough of. So these are tickets to shows that I was either in or I was in theater for quite a while, so either produced it or stage managed it, or I was acting in it, something like that. I don't need these little ticket stubs because I actually have, for just the important ones that I was in or um, stage managed, I have either the playbills or the flyers or like my crew tag for something that I managed. I don't really need the tickets as well. So this would be the category of I have enough things from that memory, that event, that place, that time of my life that I don't need this many. So those I recycle. And in the paper path for our noon Thursday talk, we will be talking about how to handle greeting cards and playbills and make them into a fun scrapbook that you can use. So any type of paper memorabilia, we're going to be talking about how to do like a super easy scrapbook style display that you can do and how to make decisions on things like that. So if you're a paper path member, if you're a path member, then at noon in your Facebook Live over in the campfire group, that's what we're talking about. All right, next up, things where a photo will do. So this is a newspaper article, and this is a really fun one back from my theater days, and I modeled for a bunch of the pictures along with other people that were in my theater troupe. So we were in all of these different pictures showing the things not to do in a theater show. And it was published in our local newspaper. Those two bottom, I'm the one with the lighter curly hair there. So now you can see it's already started to get some damage. It's yellowing. And quite honestly, I'm not going to be pulling out this newspaper to look at it very often if it's in a box. So this is something where I took a picture of it. And when I take a picture of any type of newspaper article, try to make sure to get the date that's in the top. And if you can also, if you don't know what it's from, if you can also get what the newspaper, the publication name is in that picture, then that will be helpful. And the great thing is these days, even your phone can take really, really, really good pictures. So I could take a picture from way up here with all that text and zoom in and still read the text. So I took a picture of this because this itself is starting to disintegrate. I will probably enjoy it a lot more if I have a picture. Now, you don't have to just do pictures of things that are paper. You can take pictures of items as well. So there are some items that I will take a picture of and let go of the item because we are more likely to be sitting on the couch, maybe while the TV is playing, and scrolling through our photo album on our phone and come across our memorabilia's album. And then we can see all the things in that memorabilia album and actually look through those memories. You can even have something like a digital photo frame, which I have several of. My digital photo frame, I've got one on my desk, I've got two in the living room. Those are a great place to be able to scroll those memorabilia photos through so you can actually look at the items instead of them being in a box. If they're in a box, we very rarely open those boxes. So those things, that items themselves are not important. It's just the memory that they bring up. That's a perfect way to get them out of the house, out of the box, and make it so that you can more easily access that memory by seeing the item in a photo versus in a box that you're not opening. All right, so those are the five main categories of things that when I come across them, I don't keep them in my memorabilia. So things that you don't remember, things that aren't quite so interesting anymore, so they aren't worth the space that they're taking up. The memory is fine. Things that bring up a negative emotion or bad memory, things that you have enough of from that event, that person, that place, that time, or things that a photo will be enough. It's not the item itself that's important. So when you're letting go of items, they don't all have to go in the trash or recycle. You can also donate them. You could sell them if they have some value, or you can give them to somebody who would value them more, or maybe that is part of that memory or your family. The one thing I do say about giving to others, Don't give things to other people because you're trying to avoid the decision of letting it go. Make sure that they actually want the item, and be careful if they have a problem keeping too much stuff. Don't give them things just because you know that they'll say yes and that they say that they think that they want it. Give it to them only if it would be truly an important memory for them. So just because, they collect dolls does not mean that if you're letting go of the special doll that you should necessarily give them dolls unless that doll would be truly special to them as well. So if they have a problem with clutter, don't add to their problem by giving them more clutter. If they would not find that item super special or they do not need it, make the decision yourself and let it go versus passing on your decision to somebody else. So that's just my disclaimer about being nice to other people too. All right. Oh, awesome. Okay. So that is not really applicable to what we're talking about right now. So I will check into seeing if that's something that would be appropriate to respond to later. And okay, Anne says that she can hear me now. Yay, I'm glad. So if you have any questions as we go, let me know. Now, things that you want to keep. I will talk about how to decide what you want to keep, and I will talk about how to keep some things. Sound good? All right. So things you want to keep. And of course, I have some to show you. So a few things that I like to be able to keep. Things that the item itself is what's important. The memory is important, but the item itself is truly a part of that memory and something that if you can picture, it takes a whole lot of work to keep it safe. You have to spend some money to protect it. If there was a fire, you would grab it. Those are the things that you want to take with you. So, for example, I probably would not grab any of the things that I let go of if there was a fire. If it took a lot of work to protect them, like the newspaper articles or the paper of memories, I would not put forth that effort. So that's a sign that those items are not so important as just the memory. So those are the ones a photo will do or they can go. Some things, though, the item itself is truly special. And this is one example. Now, they might be special because of a time in your life, because of a person, because of an event, or sometimes it's because of who you used to be or parts of who you are. So, this is an example of something that is a memory of somebody in an event in a time of my life and who I used to be or who I am. We are still the same person, but this is what was important to us at the time. So this right here is just a little notebook that my mom had put together when I was little for Sunday school. And inside it's Bible verses I have learned from Sunday school, Children's Church Good News Club. And in it, in my mom's handwriting, her really good handwriting, she wrote out verses. This is the first verse that I ever learned. And as I learned them, she wrote them in this little book so I could remember them. She also would cut out from Christmas cards little pictures and put into the book. So this to me, even though this is not a part of my current life, this reminds me of that period of my time. This reminds me of my mom, of who I used to be. So this is an item that is important to me for the item as well as the memories. Oh, hey, Cass. Good to see you from Wales. Wonderful, wonderful. So this is kind of all of the above. I have my name badge from when I worked for Walt Disney World, and I was a ferry boat captain. So I drove the ferry boat at the Magic Kingdom. And this was a really fun part of my life. So this right here is part of who I was, but also it was just a really fun period of time and event in my life. So this item, it's important to me because, if you did not work for Disney, then you could not get this pin. The pins change over the years, so it's kind of a piece of history, but also it's a piece of who I was And this is something I can imagine displaying. This was actually a Magic Kingdom ticket to get into the Magic Kingdom from when I was in 3rd grade. So this is back when they had paper tickets. It was a one-day complimentary ticket that I earned from I sang in a chorus group at the Magic Kingdom. So as a thank you, they gave us all tickets. And I had saved this to give to my best friend when she came to visit from Iowa, which, of course, in my 3rd grade self, I wrote on the expiration date, probably made that not valid. It's a little bit beaten up now. This is more of a memory of that relationship of myself and my best friend than anything else. And also, just kind of, it's a neat piece of history because they don't do paper tickets anymore. So that's another case of the item itself is important, but this reminds me of the relationship of my best friend and myself. So that's another great reason to keep an item. Oh, yeah, Karen says that she did the same with newspaper articles about scanning them or taking a photo of them. Awesome. And hey, Sylvia. Aw, thank you so much. Good to see you from Miami. All right, a couple of other things. And then we're going to talk about storage. This teddy bear that looks like it has been through a war, his name is Kokomo. And this teddy bear is once everybody is out of the house during a fire, this is the next thing I'm grabbing. So I would grab this before I grabbed my Spark Life binder, probably, because this teddy bear was my mom's when she was little, and it used to be bright orange and fluffy, and she named it Kokomo. And then when I was little, she gave it to me, and this was one of those, I would not go to sleep until the bear was found. It was super important. So he's got no hair, he's got big bald patches, and he's more of a tan dirt color than orange anymore. But he's so important to me. It's the item, and this is who I was. And it's the relationship with my mom, and it's my mom's childhood, and he's just super important to me. So that's an example of something to keep because the item itself is important. And it's fun telling Kayla, my stepdaughter, about my childhood and that history. Speaking of Kayla, today or yesterday, I think it was, I posted that this is one of the things that I found for my the Memorabilia Challenge daily task. This is a coloring book that Kayla made when she was 8. She drew the pictures and oversaw me as I colored them in to make sure that I did it right because at 8 she wanted to make sure that the trees were green leaves and brown and all of that stuff. So this coloring book, and she would add additional pages as we went along. So I wrote the different dates that she would give me the pages. So for holidays for a little while, she would just make me some more pages for the coloring book. So this is a super special thing, especially being a stepdaughter. It was during a time when our relationship was really starting to become stronger. And this was one of the first things that she actually put effort into making for me as a gift. That was her own idea. So this is very much a symbol of the beginning of the amazing relationship that we have now. Because, with stepchildren, it takes time and you desperately want that relationship, but it's not come easily and quickly. So this is really important. This is something that I would keep because the item is really important to me. Also, it's out of an obligation that I enjoy. I want Kayla to know that this period of our lives, this event, everything was really important to me. So that's why I'm going to keep it and protect it. So when we talk about storage next, I'm going to talk about how to store something like this. And I see Catherine just asked, how do we clean stuffed animals well? That's a good question. Let me answer that during the storage thing that we're going to head into in just a moment. Good question, though. Final thing to keep for the categories of keep. This is something that my grandmother made for me. It's just the yarn. I already forgot the name of it. Jana, I think, told me the name of it last time. But it's just the yarn through the plastic, and it's a little dresser with drawers that open. The mirror broke long ago, but this is something that I always had on my dresser. It reminded me of my grandmother, and now the nice thing is I can repurpose it to keep little bits of memorabilia inside of it. So I have like my little band pins, I have my college and high school stuff, my Girl Scout pins, some knickknacks from the theater shows. So this, not only is it a fun piece of memorabilia to keep, but I've used it to repurpose for keeping some of the small bits of other memorabilia so I can keep those out. And I'm more likely to pull out the drawers and see the fun little things from a theater show that I did than if they were in a box. So having memorabilia that can be displayed and that can store other memorabilia is a really great idea. So remember, when we're talking about keeping memorabilia and what items you want to keep, make sure that it's the item itself that's important. It's not just that it's bringing up a memory, it's that this item itself, you want to be able to touch it and cherish it, and you would go through all of the care that it takes to protect it and keep it safe. You want to choose things that represent a person, like the prayer book that represents my mom growing up, or this that represents my grandmother. You want to keep things that represent an event. So the chorus concert and my best friend visiting from Iowa when I was younger, or you want to keep things that represent a time period, like when I was working for Disney, or when I was a really little girl and could not go to sleep without the teddy bear. And then when you're looking at things, there are also going to be a lot of things that simply we keep because we don't want to forget who we are. I mentioned that before. So don't keep everything that you ever had because you don't want to forget that little girl or little boy that you used to be. I like to say our memorabilia is something that you should curate. This is a curated collection of the best of. This is the best of this time period. This is the best of this time period. So you just have a couple of things from each aspect of who you were, each time period of your life. You can't keep everything because then nothing seems important. So keep just the best of and curate that collection as though you were a museum curator, and make sure to protect it and store it well. So when we're talking about storing and protecting, Catherine had asked, how do we clean stuffed animals well? If it's a regular stuffed animal, double check on the tags. A lot of them can be thrown in the washer and dryer, the tag will say. If it's something that's older and it's falling apart, or it needs to be protected, or there's no tag to tell you, then I would actually research in your area to see if there is a cleaning place that would handle it. A lot of times, places that would handle cleaning, like deep cleaning upholstery, might be able to do something like that. I'm not sure if a dry cleaner could really handle this, but like an upholstery cleaner, somebody who would come in and do the couches, that's a good place to start. And also, you could research when you look online, you can find some sort of like collectibles group. I'm sure that if you Google Teddy Bear Collectibles Association or something like that, then you will probably find some sort of association or organization of people who collect that type of thing. And on their website, it will probably tell you either how to clean it, or you can email them and ask. And a lot of times, people who are experts in that field because they collect these things, they're going to be able to help you out, because different stuffed animals are made of different things. I would hate to tell you the wrong thing. Aw, thank you, Karen. I love the teddy too. He's huggable. That's the best. His arms are just right. So that's Kokomo the teddy. All right, so when we're keeping these, if they are worth keeping, then storing them and doing all the things necessary to protect them should feel like a joy. You should not mind going through and making sure to do the steps that you need to do in order to store these. If you don't want to put forth the work, then it's probably not worth keeping, because every single one of these items that I told you about, I have no problem going through whatever I need to go through to keep them and protect them. Any of the items that I let go of, if I needed to go through extra work to keep them, I would put it off. I would think, it's something I have to do. It would not bring me joy to do it. So that's a sign that those are not things that are that important to me. So here is how I handle a lot of the storage. Now, throughout the year, I have my memorabilia box. I have each one of us in our family has a memorabilia box, and it's just a pretty box. Opens up nice and easy. And then throughout the year, I can put, oh, pardon me, I can put various things in the memorabilia box. So I have two memorabilia boxes. I have my throughout the year memorabilia box, and then I have, this one's actually the more permanent memorabilia box. So my 2021, because right now it's 2021, memorabilia box is out in the living room area, so it's easy to put things in and it's decorative. This lives in my bedroom with all of the things that have been curated and thought about. Now, in this box, I don't put anything that I'm worried about being damaged. So a lot of these things are, very sturdy fabrics that I know I want to keep this for a while, but I'm not going to keep this for the rest of my life. It's from my friend Rochelle, who's a travel writer. I think she went to like Taiwan or something. And she brought back this really funny hat, and it's supposed to be for like luck or something like that. So I wanted to keep this for a while. I keep this metal thing from when I worked for the Warner Brothers studio store. Those types of things go in the box because they don't need extra special protection, but they have been curated. They are things that I do want to keep longer term. Now, when it comes to anything made of paper or photos that could disintegrate if they are kept in inappropriate storage, that's where you want to make sure to get an archival box. So this is one of the archival boxes that I enjoy. Thanks. I love the coloring book. Coloring book is awesome. And that's why the coloring book is going into a photo archival quality box, along with my other paper items. So this box actually can sit on my bookshelf. Now, the reason that this is an archival quality box, it is not made with adhesives. And when you look on Amazon, actually, I have my favorite things store that you can stop by on in the favorite things shop. I think it's in the photos section. I believe this box and a couple of other storage boxes that I do love that are archival quality. But when you look on Amazon, look up photo archival box and you'll find it. But with any type of papers and photos, you want to make sure that it does not have the inappropriate adhesives. So this box actually does not have any adhesives. It's got metal that holds it together. And then you also want to make sure that the materials that are used are appropriate materials, because some materials give off gases and some adhesives give off gases, and that will make all of these precious items disintegrate a lot faster and discolor. So obviously some of these papers are yellowed. I was older when I found out about archival boxes, but anything that has paper or photos that I want to save as is and not to do anything else with, go into the photo archival box. So that way they are nice and safe. I usually keep it stored on its side so that way they don't bend over, but they're going to stay protected. So that's a big one. If it's worth keeping, remember, it's worth protecting. Now, some things I like to display. I talked about my grandmother's dresser that she gave me, and this way it has my little memorabilia in it. That's one great way to display things. Kokomo actually lives on a shelf in my bedroom because I do want to be able to see him. And what I will be doing, I've done this for my bouquet from my wedding that my mom made. I will be ordering a glass dome and putting him under a glass dome to keep him safe from the dust. And I'll probably even put in some of those little damp rid type of packets, the silica packets. So that way it'll absorb any moisture, because here in Florida, humidity is not our friend when it comes to storing things. So anything that is cloth, you don't want to keep it in, this goes with clothing as well. You don't want to keep it completely enclosed in plastic, especially if you live in a humid area. You want a container that's somewhat breathable, so that way dust stays out, but humidity won't stay in and eat away at the fabrics. So even though I'm going to put him in a glass dome, I'm going to make sure that it has some sort of moisture wicking in it So that way it will not eat away at this very delicate now fabric that's already disintegrating as it is. But I do want to see him all the time, so that's why he's worth getting something to help display him. Now, another thing that I'm sure many of you have heard of and probably done yourself would be a shadow box. Now, these are things from my wedding, and I keep this shadow box in our bedroom on a shelf, a dresser type of thing at the end of our bed. But this shadow box is nice, it's magnetic, so it opens up, and inside we have all of the basic things, including the silica gel pack for humidity. But we have a number of the different things from the wedding, the thing that went in my hair, the thing that went around the invitations, the invitation envelopes, and our vows book. And the fun thing about if you have something like a shadow box that's magnetic, you can update things fairly easily within the shadow box. So one of the things that we've been doing on our anniversary each year, not only do we go back and read our vows, but we write sort of a new vow. So we write each year a new little paragraph or something about the year so far and what we're looking forward to and sort of our vows moving forward, and then we can put it right back in the box. So shadow boxes are a really good way to display a number of items. What you can do also with shadow boxes, and this is something that I will do eventually with my wedding dress, is with shadow boxes and picture frames, you can also use fabrics, or if you have some sort of paper item that you're trying to save, you can use it as the backing. So instead of this gray backing inside, once I get around to repurposing my wedding dress, this gray backing, I will probably actually use part of my dress because it's going to get cut up and repurposed and made actually into lampshade covers because the lace is just absolutely beautiful, and that's what's gorgeous about the dress. So it will be made into lampshade covers. I'm sure that I will have enough extra to line the back of the shadow box, which will make it extra important, rather than keeping my wedding dress preserved in a box somewhere that will just gather dust. And once you've had it preserved, to preserve fabrics appropriately for putting them in a box, you usually need to bring them to a dry cleaner and have them professionally preserved. But then you never want to open the box again because then you will have to go and get it preserved again. So having it in a box or professionally preserved means that you're very unlikely to open it and ever do anything with it again, because that kind of ruins the preservation. So making it into something else is perfect. And what I will be doing, and the only reason I've not yet is because COVID happened. Put that there. What I have been doing, what I will be doing with my wedding dress is, like I mentioned, I will be having lampshades made with the lace. So one of these types of shades, I'll have somebody who knows what they're doing cut up the dress, use the really pretty bits to create lampshades, probably for our bedroom or a living room. And then the excess of that fabric, because this was a very big dress, the excess of that fabric, I will be able to donate to Angel Gowns. So Angel Gowns, and I think I can probably show you the dress. Angel Gowns is a wonderful organization that makes little christening and burial robes for babies that passed. And they do not need the dress to be intact in order to do that. It just has to be enough fabric that they could make a small dress, or with mine, they could probably make like 20 dresses out of it. But there's a picture. It's kind of blurry because of the camera. There we go, of my wedding dress. So you can see that is a lot of layers of lace and tulle. So that will become the backing to my shadow box. It will become the lampshades, and then all the rest that's still in good condition and usable, which will still be a large amount, will go to Angel Gowns. So that way it's being used over and over and over in different ways, instead of sitting in my closet in a box that I'm never opening, because I highly doubt that Kayla is going to want to wear my dress for her wedding. So there's not a whole lot of a point. I will probably save a little bit of my dress or the lace. I've got some of the lace from the dress, because with my wedding bouquet, it's wrapped with pieces from my mom's dress from her wedding dress. So that's a fun tradition to be able to pay forward to Kayla because she won't want to wear the full dress, but I will offer her if she wants to use some of the lace or some of the jewelry that I wore during my wedding or my grandmother's jewelry that I wore during my wedding as well, then she can use some of these bits in her wedding if she wants to. But then I'm not storing a huge big thing that she probably won't want. So, storage. We talked about making sure fabrics, make sure to get them preserved appropriately. Don't put them in like solid plastic containers. That includes dresses, any type of clothes that you would use normally. So your clothing covers, make sure that they have a breathable component so that humidity can't get into it, but it does keep dust and bugs and everything out. We talked about how to find places to help you clean or preserve items if you're not sure. So find a local group, organization, collectors group, and ask them or look on their websites to see if there are resources about how to care for those specific items. We talked about using Photosafe archival storage to make sure that anything that's paper will not disintegrate and not yellow and be protected. So you don't have any type of adhesives or materials that are giving up gases to destroy those papers. We talked about instead of holding on to a lot of things, having something like my travel journal where it's a bullet list of memories. This is a great way to be able to store something because I can display my travel journal, pull it out, read it without having a huge box from every single trip. We talked about shadow boxes, how to display things in something like a shadow box. You can even use photos, pieces of material as backing, so that way it adds to the photo box or the shadow box. I do this also, I forgot to tell you, I do this also with photographs. If I have a picture like of a kid when they were little, then if we still have that garment, then you can use the fabric from that garment that they were wearing in that photo as the backing of the picture, and then put the picture along with the fabric. That's a fun one. And then we talked about storage box itself. So I have one that I use during the year, and then I have one that I use for my kind of permanent curated collection. So these are the best of the best. And at the end of each year, part of my New Year's thing that I like to do is all the family pulls out our memorabilia box for the year. We look at the things, we share some of the stories, and we decide which items are worth making it into that curated collection and which items we've enjoyed the memory, we take a picture of it, or we just let it go. All right, let's see. So Karen says, a glass dome is a great idea. Thank you. Yes, it's been wonderful for that bouquet, and it's been really good. You're so welcome, Pamela. Everybody's saying thank you. Katrin says, thanks for summarizing after sections. Would love these summaries written down for us too, please. I don't have anything for that right now, but that's a great idea. So maybe the next memorabilia challenge, I'll see if I can do something like that. Brilliant idea. And then Rita, where would one purchase a glass dome? I agree with Karen. I just got mine off of Amazon. I think everything is Amazon. You know, you want to buy a house, Amazon. You want to adopt a kid, Amazon. Probably not. But glass dome, I just looked on Amazon. I know that a lot of times, a lot of the hobby and craft stores will also have glass domes if it's something that you wanted to be able to touch and see. I can also see if I can add one to my favorite things list to help you find. I'm writing a note to myself. To help you find glass domes, I'll try in my favorite things list where the box is. I already listed the box there. Then SuzannaKaye.live/my-favorite-things is where you can find all of that great stuff anytime I talk about a product, and more stuff that I did not even mention. Rita, would you mind repeating what you said about the journal? I did not hear. Absolutely. So the journal, just a quick summary of the journal. This is my travel journal, and my travel journal is basically, I bring this with me on trips because during the trip, what I will do at the end of the trip or whenever I have downtime during the trip, I will just write down bullet points for that trip. Or like this one, there's a thing about Velcro during the trip. I put that piece of Velcro there. So if I've got little flat things that can go inside of it, I'll put it here too. But for example, this was a fun trip that I took to record I think it was my first. Yeah, it looks like it was my first um, course that I ever recorded for, at the time it was lynda.com, now it's LinkedIn Learning. So my first time becoming an author for LinkedIn Learning, and I went out to Carpinteria to their studios to record the course, and I wrote out some of my favorite bullet points. On the Enterprise bus, watching the rolling suitcases roll as the bus moved. They were rolling down the aisle. Whenever the bus moved, all the suitcases would roll down. I was planning to catch it with my foot if it rolled towards me. I was tired and the bus was so cold. So that's just one of the examples of a bullet point that I wrote about that trip. And that reminds me immediately, I had forgotten about being freezing cold on that bus, um, trying to go get the rental car and then watching the suitcase roll up and down the bus. And these are things that I would probably have forgotten if I had not written it down. Um, like eating groceries in my hotel room while watching the Disney Channel. Yeah, I remember doing that. So, oh yeah, my iPhone. When my iPhone completely died and I had to go in the middle of the day to the Apple store and buy a new iPhone in California. So these are just fun little memories. Each trip, I just put a new title on the top, and then I can write down bullet points as I'm on the plane or in the car heading home or whenever I've got some downtime. And it's much better than keeping items. Just makes it so much easier. Oh, Rita says, I love that travel journal idea. So smart. Thank you. Yeah, I don't even know where I came up with it, but it's been so nice. Yeah, Karen says her daughter gave her wedding dress to angel gowns too. Yeah, it's a wonderful way to get it out of the closet and make it useful. I absolutely love it. All right, so remember the things that you do want to keep, the really important stuff, like your teddy bear Kokomo from your mom. You want to either be able to repurpose things if you can, so they will be on display and you can see them and enjoy them. You want to be able to display them if you can, and if you want to. And most of all, you want to make sure to protect them. So the glass dome, the archival box, make sure that if it's worth keeping, it's absolutely worth protecting. And if it's not worth it to you to go through the steps to protect it, then it's probably not worth keeping. And anything that you're keeping for the future generations that you want to pass on, also just record what the story is about the item so they know why it is important. It's as easy as just shooting a video or writing it down in your Spark Life binder. But there we go. That was a whole lot for today, wasn't it? But I wanted to talk a lot about these making decisions because making decisions on memorabilia can be really, really hard. Remember, right now, this week, as of when I'm recording this, October 4th through 11th, in the Home Organizing Challenges Facebook group, we have the free Memorabilia Challenge. You can grab your free Memorabilia Challenge checklist. It will show you all of the different tasks for the different days so you can follow along and keep track of what you've done so far in the challenge. We're posting our photos of our items that we're coming across and making our decisions on in the Facebook group. So it's really fun to see what other people are posting and seeing and to support each other. Also remember, if I talked about something that you wanted to find out where to get it, check out the My Favorite Things store. And if you are a member of the Paper Path, then if the Path membership, then I will be talking about greeting cards, all the greeting cards and things like playbills and tickets, how to make them into sort of a little scrapbook super easily with a hole punch, ribbon, round binder, rings, things like that. So, and how to make decisions on things like greeting cards. And I did want to share a couple of things really quickly, which are fun. Pam said about sorting memorabilia that I'm sorting with my son in mind. The cruise I took 10 years before he was born with people he doesn't know, gone. It's really helped me thin out what will actually end up in a scrapbook. Yes, so depending on where you are in your life, if you are at that point where you're starting to let go of things to make it easier for your kids once you're gone, think about, was your kid involved in the event? Are these people your kid knows and would remember that event as well? So, like Pam's talking about, the cruise 10 years before he was born with people he didn't know, letting go of that memorabilia now, you can take a picture of it, let it go, and then protect. She's doing scrapbooks, protect what would be important to him. And then, like Barbara said in the group, she says, by recently emptying my parents' home of 72 years and what they saved from prior generations, I have a better concept of what is worth keeping and what the descendants probably won't appreciate. So, those of you who have been through the tough time of going through an estate, then you probably know a lot more than the rest of us what truly was important to you to come across. And those items you can now apply to your own things so that your loved ones, your family, your kids, so they can see what was truly important. Because if, imagine if you were going through a loved one's estate, what types of items would be important to you? The cruise from before you were born would probably not be that important, but the teddy bear that was your mom's and her mom's, that might be more important. So reframe it and look at it in that way, and that might help as well. Pamela says, I love the show and tell style. Yeah, this is a perfect subject to be able to do show and tell because most of the time, the mental side of things, I can't show and tell as much. So I'm glad. And Brenda says, I'm getting closer to letting my wedding dress go. It's a tough one, right? But yes, absolutely honor it with in whatever way you can. But yeah, keeping it in a box means that no one can use it and no one can enjoy it. So at least getting it out of the box, repurposing it, or paying it forward if it's still in great condition in a style that people would enjoy. That's a great way to honor that memory. But you've got this. When you're ready, then I know that you'll do amazing. All right. Well, pop on over to the Facebook group so that you can see our memorabilia challenge. And if you're a Pathfinder, then I will see you in about 10 minutes over in the Facebook Campfire group where we're talking about making decisions on greeting cards and other paper memorabilia and making scrapbooks and things out of it. I love you all so much. Thank you for this extended Thursday talk with show and tell. I'm glad that you enjoyed it, and I will talk to you very, very soon. I'll see you over in the group. I love you. Bye.